Okie dokie. Well, hello everybody. It's Amiga Rob here. It is just coming up to 3 o'clock in the morning where I am in the UK, and I can't sleep, so I thought I might as well start a, um, a live stream. Oops. And I'm going to do Megalomania, and what I should have done is make sure that the stream is titled properly, which I haven't. So I'll get that sorted out first of all. I could have tried playing Yolanda again, but that was driving me slightly bonkers. So hopefully this is loading. Let's put the right titles on. It's Megalomania that we're playing. Oh, we're in the title here. I'm hoping I'm not going to fall asleep during this stream, because I don't think me snoring is going to be that entertaining. Well, I can see that things are coming through. So Megalomania is one of the, I'd say it's probably the first big Sensible Software game under the Sensible Software title. I did do other things, Shoot 'em Up Construction Kit, did Whizball and some other games, but I think this is the first one where you see the style of characters and all that kind of caper. I'd forgotten it was distributed by ImageWorks, which I think I'm right. With the oh, I can tell it's late. I can't think of the name of the guy. Maxwell's company. Who fell over the side of a boat. I've never really listened to this music before. It's not too bad. How do I save this? All changes saved. Right. Now, let's see if we can get a chat window ready. I say that, I don't even know if you can hear the music. Yeah, it's pretty low at the minute, the music, so I'll just turn it up a tiny bit, but I don't want it to drown out me because I'm not speaking particularly loudly. Michael Burdett did the titled music, ladies and gentlemen, along with Richard Joseph. Alright. Oh, I don't want to click that. Alright. I'm not feeling 100% confident that I'm going to get anybody watching this, but 3:03 a.m. Let's play Megalomania, shall we? Do 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 do. Okay. So Megalomania came out in 1991, and it's a really clever game, good game. I guess it's a god game. I don't know. Would you call it a god game? I don't really know the difference. I think I'll be Scarlet. Graphics are quite nice. It's animated and got a lot of personality in the things. God, I'm going to be talking some rubbish because I'm really tired. I am definitely not fully there tonight. Let's see. Right, so the idea of this game is to build up your technology and then try and take over the island. Or epoch, or whatever they call it. Speed up time. And I think this is the first game where you see the sensible style characters, and apparently that was a coincidence. I heard on the retro hour with Ravi and Dan, one of the sensible guys, the graphics guy, I can't think who it was, saying that it was a coincidence that these games had them similar size, small. Hello, hello. Right, okay. Sorry, lost audio there for a few seconds. For some reason, everything locked up and my sound device stopped working, so that was fantastic. In the meantime, I lost that first game, but I can try again. You play normally 3 islands, and 3 islands make an epoch or something, and what you want to do is use as few men as possible to win each island. because whatever you have at the end of winning the 3 islands moves on to your number of men for your next, the next set of islands, next epoch. And I think the more men that you have spare, the faster they reproduce. Although it's funny, you only get men there. So I don't know how that works. Some strange quirk of technology in this age. Now I think we've also lost all the background sounds, so... Let me just try and bring back some background sounds. Yeah, there's a little bit of background sound there. Right, what's going on here? Oh, I see. Hopefully that background sound is not too loud. Just have a double check. This is live, by the way. This is a live stream. Broadcasting to you live. I do have quite a few blokes, so what's going on over here? Nothing much, right. So how many sticks have I got? Rocks, okay. Send these 22 blokes over here and let's see what happens, see if they come up with any response. So I've sent my men over with their animal skins. I hope they're not all reproducing with that one woman Scarlet, because that's quite a heavy burden on her. Even if she's a leader, she shouldn't be expected to be producing. Let's speed this up. Oh blimey, they've got 30 tonight. Oh dear, I'm getting... No, are we winning? I think my stones are... Yeah, we've won. It's quite good sound effects in this game. I wonder why it hasn't.
We've conquered the sector.
Okay. Is it? Has it let me win yet?
We've won.
There we go, we've won, finally. Okay. Right. Oh, the image quality looks alright. It's looking a bit funny what I'm seeing. Like my colours don't look right. I think I've messed up the colours. Something else to check out. I think it's because it's not expected. 709. Oh dear. Let's have a quick look and see if this fixes it. Still some technical stuff on the fly. No, it's doing 601, so it's completely ignored that setting. Wonderful. Right, let's get on with playing this game, even if the colours look a bit strange. And even if the music momentarily stops for no apparent reason. Already waiting for no viewers. It's all going well. But we're streaming and we can be heard, which is good. Right, play island. Let's try that. Still just two of us. Should be fairly straightforward. Do that. Let's give it some rocks. Now they have different resources in different places, so sometimes you have to play the same level over a few times to work out where's the best spot that you've got a chance of winning. Oh, I wish I could sleep, but I can't, so here I am. Talking to myself on the internet. It's about as bleak as it gets. Right. How many blokes have I got? Let's just build them up and send them over. Oh,
The
looks like they
design's ready.
got an army out there. How many have they got? Not too many. I fancy my chances. Let's go for it. Alright, I have to move them one by one. Let's see what happens. Oh, there's lots of them. And I think I got a bit overexcited here. Well, that's me probably completely snookered because I've only got one left, and I think when you've got one they can't actually multiply. Yes, I think I'm completely snookered. Oh no, two. Well, let's see if I can pull this back. I don't think I can, but no, let's not bother. Yes, I'm a quitter. Blimey, if I'd quit a few things in my life, I'd be in a much better position than I am now. Rather than trying to keep them going when things were doomed. Doo-doo. I'm going to do 10 men. Conserve. I'll go to the same place. I reckon I can beat them. I just need to time it better. I think what I'll do is I'm going to build the men up first of all. In fact, what I might do is just get less men. Because the more people you have, the faster they your numbers build up. Once you get them over about 30, they start going like the clappers. Like rabbits. Get a few more people on there. Part of the Spaghetti-O
Tower critical.
right, snookered.
It's all over.
Done for. Part of the skill of this game is that to really beat the later levels you have to use very few people on these first levels. So that, excuse me coughing, so that you've got a chance of having enough people to build the weapons you need fast enough. I think I've made a mistake here. Right, well then, this time I'm just gonna go straight in and get the stone ready.
Ergonomically terrific.
Ergonomically terrific. Right, and I think I'm going to try. Right, forget that. These guys have turned up. It's time to give them a whooping. The old army down there. There's more of us than there is them, so we should slaughter them. Stick them blokes back in the tower. Well, we gave them a good sound thrashing there. Oh no. There is an option that stops them. Makes it so it slows down the game when you get an attack like this. 10 of my blokes. It's 8 of theirs. We've just got to ride these attacks out, I think. A little surprised I'm getting no viewers at all. Wow. Probably because I'm going on at a time when nobody that's subscribed out my 9 subscribers would actually be watching, I guess. Should really have thought that through. So even these early levels, if you're thinking about the later levels, can become quite a challenge. Right, there's a setting I need to change because this is ridiculous. It should be set as a default. So options, auto slow on. It should mean that if we get attacked, the game automatically comes out of fast mode, and then you can have a chance of actually defending the attacks. I think what I'm going to also do is develop a stick weapon, and then I can station some geezers on the top.
The design's ready. Ergonomically terrific.
Thing is, if I stick these guys on the top there, it can trigger an attack. I guess as you're becoming more militarized, they start creeping out, the little devils. Maybe some of these will help me as well. That technology might be just doing enough to stop them attacking me, I suppose. Because it's a clever game, it's, you know, it's got a lot to it. Oh, right, that auto slow kicked in this time. Here they come with their rocks. Right, so what I'm going to do is certainly send out more blokes like that, because I've just put that one to his death. I'm just going to back some of these off. Stick my stick man. I'm stick man. I'm stick man. I'm stick man. That's me. My stickmen, giving them a fine thrashing. Oh dear, where did I go wrong? Right, bring them back in. Lost a few folk there, so I'll speed up time until they replenish, and I'm hoping I really want to get these spears because I think they're going to be critical in any eventual face-off. Problem is, if they start producing people faster than I can, I need them spears really to have a good chance of defeating the little devils. And they're taking out quite a few of my folk every time they battle us. If they suddenly turn up with 30 people, it's going to do me a lot of harm. They look like they're quite tooled up over there now. More people you have assigned to the thing, less time it takes to complete. So I'm just going to shovel more and hopefully we can get the spears completed before we suffer our next attack. Hello Larry. Oh mate, you know, it's the way life goes. Sometimes you are up late, you can't sleep, and then you know, you don't stop. I should say, because I haven't put the chat stream thing up in view because of past experiences. There is the Mr. Larry Bundy Jr. is commenting that he says, "Hey Rob, you're up late, dude." The one viewer, Larry, you're the one viewer. I'm just saying it for the sake of if anybody ever watches the recorded stream. Yeah, I am up late. Playing Megalomania. Can't sleep. So, you know, the creative juices mean playing computer games late at night, the age of 37. Sad really, isn't it? How are you, Larry? Hope you're well. Hope the sky isn't too bright. I've lost track of where I am in that. Okay, moved up a technology level. Oh, what? So Larry's telling me his sleeping pattern's all messed up. He's had the flu this week. Sorry to hear that. I had some weird illnesses over Christmas. I hope you feel better soon. I've got a feeling that the water, I was staying in your neck of the woods over Christmas, and I've got a feeling something happened to the water, because I know there was a few people that got a very strange illness. I mean, honestly, never had anything like it. It was like le pipi de la derrière, as they say in France. I'm going to hold back on this. Yeah, I've never had anything like it. I was absolutely... And then I got the other thing. That was it, right off I was. I'm sorry to hear you got the flu. But at least it's not plague, I suppose. Right, I'm going to have a crack at invading these people now. Ah, yeah, I think maybe the water... I'll tell you what it was. I woke up and first of all it was ball ache. I thought, oh, the balls were intense agony. Don't know where it came from. And then I thought, oh, the old stomach's aching a bit, and I thought, oh, maybe I need to take a little bit of a sit down, you know. And then next thing you know, there were things happening. Oh, there we go, one. Things were happening that I didn't understand. Things were coming out of places that normally come out of other places, and but yeah, I was, and yeah, I think the water, I think something, and then my the next door, they hadn't been out either, and the only place I'd been to was the co-op in Carpenter's Park. That was it. Over the whole Christmas week. Oh, I don't know. There's funny things going on. Very funny things. Oh man, where am I going? Oh yeah, this one's a tricky one. Right, let's see if I can do this one with 10 then. I don't know if I said Larry's last reply was it explained like he's not in contact with anyone for a few weeks. Living the old hermitic life, which I think there's a lot to be said for it. Funnily enough, I think I spend most of my time either just around the corner from the Retro Hour guys, where they do the Retro Hour podcast, or around the corner from Guru Larry. So he's saying he had horrible stomach pains that felt like he was starving even though he'd just eaten. Yeah, I reckon something's going on with the water, Larry. I think between you and me, I think there is something going on, because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And I was drinking, I do drink the tap water down that way, and I'm guessing we'd have the same. I'm guessing we'd have the same water, because we've got, well, the pumping station I think is right, but like a halfway point. The old pumping station, and also Apocalypse Central lies between those two locations, and yeah, he's saying it's Three Valleys Water. It is Three Valleys Water, which I can give you a retro computing piece of information about. Until recently, I believe that their pumping system was controlled by BBC Master computers. I guess Watford Electronics probably supplied them. No, I don't live. I actually live. It's asking if I live in Garston. It's asking. Larry's asking if I live in Garston. I actually live. I used to live in Oxley, and I still occasionally. I visit quite often to Oxley. So I think I'm about as close to you as I could be. but I live. Where do I live? Oh, this is it. Oh, I live normally in Nottingham, just in the centre of Nottingham is where my nerve centre is based, right where it's all happening. But I'm a bit of a don't want to say a wandering minstrel, but I'm a bit of a well, I guess I'm becoming the littlest hobo. Sad, really.
Ergonomically terrific.
I was watching your video with, well, I say watching, I was listening to your video with Ashens from after E3 from this year or last year. I don't know anything about current computer games. I know nothing, and I can't understand new technology as well, which is sad, really, because it's probably why I don't have a career in IT. Maybe tomorrow I'd want to settle down. He says, yeah, maybe tomorrow I'll just keep. What is it? Uh-oh, I've got an alliance against me here. Yeah, maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow.
We've advanced at tech level.
Ian Lee plays that. Keep on wandering on. That's it, yeah. That used to be on. That used to be on Channel 4 on the Sunday morning, didn't it? Really early. And they also had. They had a program on there on Sunday mornings. This is probably about the time I'd be getting up on a Sunday morning, but they used to have one which was like an animation, and the guy that made it made several animations. Like it was his, like like his magnum opus animations, and one of them was a series about the human body. Oh, the engine always used to make him cry as a kid. Oh. Larry used to always cry when he used to watch the ending of The Littlest Hobo. How sad. Yeah, that and Incredible Hulk had that same thing. Yeah, that thing they used to have on Sunday. But it was weird because at the end, on the title thing, it had like, as I recall it, a naked, like a sort of naked young girl and a naked young boy sort of coming together, and sort of suggestions of. This is after Alliance, yeah, go on. Sort of suggestions of, you know, a bit of hanky panky going on between them or something, you know, a bit of creationism and stuff. And I don't know where I was going with that, but just one of those that just popped into my head. Ah, yeah, and apparently those things are like really well regarded in Europe. They're really like, and when my former partner realised I knew of this program, she was astounded. She was like, "Well, how can you know about that program? That's like a European thing," and blah blah blah. Oh God, I'm talking some rubbish. Let's bang one of these spears out. This is the best way to play this game, not really paying attention, I think, because I seem to be doing much better now. What's all this stuff? Let's see, what have I just designed?
The design's ready.
I hope that your illness hasn't stopped your production schedule, Larry, because I'm looking forward to your next video. I think you do some good stuff. I think the stuff that you're doing and that Retro Hour guys are doing. I think I heard your program with the Retro Hour guys actually. unless I've dreamt that. Italian plasticine animation show called Mew and Meow. Mew and Meow. That's a totally new one on me, and I'm usually quite sharp on animation. My aunt worked on Pob. She was the vision mixer on it, which was the two cats, Mew and Meow. Hang on a sec. I'm gonna have to Google this. That's right. You're on the retro. Yeah, I think what those guys are doing is absolutely fantastic. I think what you're doing is brilliant. Yes, I've seen it on YouTube. Oh, I was just saying it's on YouTube. Yeah, I think what you're doing is brilliant because I think what you're doing, what the retro hour guys do it is really good because nobody is doing this stuff. The mainstream media won't do it, and social media. What you're doing is what social media should be doing. You're creating stuff which people, the things that 30 years ago you would get quality television covering, just documentaries about and stuff that probably in Germany they're still making, because Germany is still quite good at making documentary stuff. But I think what you're doing and the retro hour guys, their interviews are just incredible. They really are with the with all the old the developers and everything. They've just done an absolutely incredible job. But they're also trying to. Larry's just saying, I just like uncovering long forgotten things in retrogramming. Tired of people talking over it, same old NES game over and over. Yeah, and I think that's right. I think, I mean, for me, I remember at the time, in the early 90s when I was first got my Amiga, saying to people the real thing that's happening in music at the minute is in computer music. So the Amiga stuff is, you know, this 4-channel music is the most interesting stuff in music. Hang on, better fight this little war here. What have I got? I think I'm about to get absolutely pasted here because these guys have got arrows and I've just got not much at all.
Tower critical.
Yeah, I've lost. That's okay. And it seems like 20 years, 30 years later, people suddenly thought, yeah, actually, there's quite a lot going on, and I think it's good that that with YouTube, ironically, a lot of this material, which would otherwise have been would have slowly faded into obscurity, is probably going to get you know, there's a source there, and these interviews are going to change it so we don't end up with this bloody story where there's only Apple and Microsoft, and that was, you know, that was everything. That was the whole story. I like what TechMoan does as well. I like lazy game reviews. I think TechMoan's a little 8-bit guy is a bit more clued up as to what the Amiga did in other parts of the world. But yeah, I think you did great stuff, Larry. I'm not going to blow smoke up your backside. I think your stuff's well produced. And yeah, it's great. It's great, and there's so many guys doing decent stuff on YouTube now. It's just a shame, really, where you got to expect the lowest common denominator stuff gets fantastic views, and it just seems that tons of kids love that stuff as well. 8-bit guy didn't know Commodore. Larry's saying that 8-bit guy didn't know that the Commodore 64 games came out on tape. Yeah, I think. It's funny though, because I mean that I mean, I'd never really thought of this, of people being in this situation, but when he got his original VIC-20, he didn't even have any type of storage device. For the first few months he had it, all he was doing was sitting there. He'd power it on, and he had to type in something from the manual, Um, and I mean, I've never even really thought of that. I mean, I would have thought everybody that's got um, everybody would have had some kind of storage device um, for their machine. You know, everyone must, whether it's cards or whatever. But no, he had nothing. But I like 8-bit guy. I like what he does with keyboards. It's none of it's incredibly high level, but and who else do I like? There's a few other guys. I like a guy I've been watching recently, Fanboy Flicks, who does the bad movies stuff. I mean, it's just, I like it. I'll tell you the guy to check out, Larry, and anybody that watches this at all, if anybody watches this, a guy I like. This is the people I really try and look for on YouTube are people like Greg Darlene. Check him out. I think it's how these computers are marketed, says Larry. If you look at the US adverts, they were all aimed at business market. UK was all about games. Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things that is becoming more apparent. Is that the Commodore in the US just didn't really have a clue about the markets, and I just think like the Commodore and the Amiga just suited, in particular, the UK market and the Scandinavian markets, because we were sort of minded to um, we were just more creatively minded, I think, and I think yeah, exactly. We bought it. He's saying, yeah, we bought it to help with your homework. I mean, I think when my dad got my Amiga for me, I mean, I'd had a PC in the house for a whole summer, and I didn't even really consider it to be a computer worth spending much time with. I didn't think, oh, this computer um, can do things that I particularly want to do. Um, I mean, we had like a copy of World Class Leaderboard and Battlehawks 1942, and I was, did as much as I could with that. Um, but I didn't even think that, oh, I've got a computer in the house. It was a computer he brought from work, 286 or something. I mean, you'd put in the disc and you try and load, something like Battlehawks. You'd have to wait. It was like a tape loader. You had to wait 15 minutes for the thing to load up. Um, but when I got my Amiga, I was like, wow, this is a computer and it was a incredibly powerful machine. And within months, I was scanning stuff and plugging it into videos. And my mate had a gen lock, and we were, trying to manually sync stuff. I mean, I was only 12, 13 years old, and we were trying to manually modify videos so that we could do perfect edits and all kinds of crazy stuff. And actually, the two friends that I had that were most into the creative stuff have both gone on to have really big careers. And one of them is one of them's gone on to work with. He works in. He's like a effects director, and works with, the top directors. He's based in Canada now, and the other one is one of the top design guys over at the BBC, developing their paid platforms. Larry says his first PC was a 286 that his dad brought back from Harefield Hospital that they were dumping, and he only had Pusnik for it. Yeah, Harefield Hospital. Yeah, it's just round the corner. God, I wish I wish my dad had been there because he died from a heart attack a few years ago and no apparent illness beforehand. But it's a bit frustrating really because it's only round the corner. But I mean, the PC 286. I mean, my first computers that I ever saw, to the best of my recollection, was actually mainframes because my dad worked at a bank, and I think he took me. I used to occasionally get taken with him when there was nowhere for me to go when he was working on the weekends. And oh, don't worry about it, Larry. It was a few things. He's just offering his condolences. It was a few years ago, but it was. It does frustrate me a bit because on the way to the uh, to where we've got the little memorial thing for him, we have to go past Harefield Hospital. So yeah, but yeah, it was yeah. The first things I saw were mainframes, and then probably when I was 2 or 3, and I had my uncle bought a console that one of the 1292 programmable systems, and which was a H-Tronic 2000, which I always thought was a great console for what it was. I don't know if you've ever seen those before. I think I'm going to do a video at some point. I just need to fix my one. There's a few videos of them. I thought they were nice little systems, and I don't know what I'm doing here. 37 blokes. I should get these guys building something really. But when I got the Amiga, I was like, whoa, this thing is incredible. I did so many things with that machine, and is it a Pong machine? It's so the H-Tronic 2000 I think it's either a second or third generation. It was developed in some people think it was developed in '74, but I think mass production was '78, and it was licensed by Radifin, I think. And there's lots of different versions of the same machine in different cases. The Interton VC4000, I think, is the same machine but with a different connector on the cartridge, but isn't pin compatible. So there are. I've seen pictures of adapters, and there are people out there that I think that have made some adapters. It's about as obscure a machine that you could ever get. But my uncle got one, and he then very quickly decided he didn't like the concept of it. So and then I went round and I played it when I was about 4, and I was like, I want that, and he just gave it to me, and that had what I think is one of the smartest innovations in a Space Invaders game on it. I've heard some terrible things about the Space Invaders game that came with it, but it had analog controllers, really nice analog controllers. In my opinion, nice analog controllers. I think I don't know whether it would be categorized as a yoke, but in the game of Space Invaders that came with it, it had like all these different varieties, and one of them, when you fired the missile, you stopped moving the spaceship and you could actually steer the missile, which I thought was a good idea. It was, and for that was the only machine I had from when I was about, don't know, maybe, well, it was normally kept out of the way, but probably had it from I was about 4 to when I was about, well, I was playing around with it probably till I was about 9, I guess. But you had it had versions of Pong. It had like a maze game. So yeah, the first cartridge, it's called Olympics, and it's basically all different varieties of Pong and Breakout. It's got like a version of the Circus. It's got it's a really nice machine. It's a machine that there's an emulator called Win Arcadia, which is a great emulator, but you can't reproduce the machine because of those controllers, and the controllers were hardwired, and there's nothing like those controllers, so it is a machine that you have to experience. My one, the last time I I used it was on September the 11th 2001, and I haven't used it since, so I've got it in the loft though, so I'll have to pull it out and see if it still functions. I'll bring it over if you want to have a go, but I need to. Yeah, I need to have a look at that because one of the controllers was completely snookered when I last looked. My one's called the Acetronic 2000. Win Arcadia is the emulator. There's also a version called Ami Arcadia, but Win Arcadia for Windows. It's the Interton 1292 programmable system. There's another version called the 1392, I think, which is just the same with the power supply built in. Yeah, check it out. Check it out. It's an interesting system because it's a halfway house between a Pong machine and a VIC-20, or it's I think it has hardware sprites. Yeah, it's got hardware sprites, and I think it's. Oh, I can't think of now. My brain is really scrambled. I can't think. It's an interesting little machine, and it gets anyone that I've ever heard say anything technical about it has always panned it, and I think as a machine for kids, it was just great, really. About to get some guys learning how to become archers, I think. Yeah, I love that machine. I used to play it on the black and white TV, and I think I'm about to lose out here. I probably shouldn't have gone for archers. I probably should have gone for the. I don't want to say pole smokers because that's.
It's all over.
I've lost it again. I'm sure I can do this with 10. Well, Larry's just saying he looked at some photos on Google Images. He definitely recognised it, but he'd never played one. He had a hand-me-down 2600 from an older brother. I think what I'm going to do to make... can I get this to work? Right, hang on. Try to do something smart on the fly. Yeah, I'd say the 2600 is probably considerably more powerful than the Acetronic 2000 or the Radifin system. Let me see if I can get this right. Hang on. Some on-the-fly technical wizardry happening here. Just need to be a bit smart about this. Sources. Hoping I'm not about to crash this. Just trying to bring your chat into view. Oh. This is it. All I need to do is just... This is very slick, you see. Hopefully I've got... Right. That's right. Okay, this is probably a bad idea. I was just going to try and bring your chat into view so I don't have to keep reading it out, but... Here we go. Oh. Am I using the PC emulator? Yes, I'm using WinUAE to run this. Because to be honest, I could never get my Amiga 1200 to run stably in when I originally had it. So the chances of getting it to run stably now are less than zero. Um, I'm using OBS, um, Open Broadcaster Studio, I think the newer version, um, and I'm just capturing it in game mode or window mode or something like that. It's not too hard to set up. Um, Although I say that, I've got quite a little background of video, so it might be. I guess everybody has background of video these days. Um, but yeah, it's the guy that writes the Amiga emulator is brilliant. Hang on, what have we got here? Used to use UAE in the early days, but was clunky. Then used Amiga forever for a while, but went back to UAE. It's so much better now. Yeah, I think WinUAE is the technology that underpins Amiga forever. Tony Willen, the coder, it has done a fantastic job. He's been the coder. He's done such a great job um, on making a really fantastically accurate emulator, and he's just got better and better, really, because the bloke is. He's a real gentleman as well. He actually put a completely potty feature in at my request a few years ago, and then I promptly haven't really used it. I had one of those. What are the name of those guys? They make the they make the terrible turntable things. Ion. They had a like an arcade style joystick that fit onto a iPad, and it connected via Bluetooth. But because it connected, um, it connected to the iPad by Bluetooth, and Apple lock off of all their system, and it's a nightmare. It used a really weird way of connecting. So, like, if you press a key, it actually sends a like a J or something if you push it right, and if you push it left, it sends like a K or something like that. And when you're not pushing, when you release it, it sends another letter to say, "Oh no, you've released pushing left." And I asked him if he could add a few things to the input that would allow me to use this joystick for a PC with it, and he did. He just put a few things. I'm the only person that's ever asked for it, and afterwards I realised that you can't actually connect the joystick via Bluetooth to practically anything, because it uses a pairing system that only works on the iPad, and it doesn't work on anything else. So unfortunately, I've never been able to exploit that, and I feel a bit guilty, really, because the thing's just sitting there doing absolutely nothing. And I think I've just messed this up as well. Let's see. Yeah, I feel a bit bad about it, but hopefully, one day I will use it. See, this is how slick I am on making changes here. It still isn't showing these messages, so I've put the wrong address in here. Oh, have I? No, it just resets it, doesn't it? I don't know, how much live stuff have you done, Larry? Because I don't think I've seen much live stuff that you've done. I mean, I know you've done studio TV work and everything earlier in your career. Right, that's near enough for the chat, so at least people can see what you're saying. What time is it? 4 o'clock. Ugh. Oh, he bought an Amiga last year. Great for playing casually on the telly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know where I am with these games anymore. I don't know. I don't know if I can. Um, I don't know if I can play games anymore. I don't know. I've got a curious interest and an urge to look at things I'd looked at in the past, um, and I don't know if it's just wanting to tie stuff up in a neat little bow and then just finish with it and think, right, I'm never going to touch any Amiga stuff again, or what. Let's see. It was the original game streamer on TV, but never done any streaming sadly. I'll tell you what, it's as long as you've got the um, as long as you've got a decent internet connection going upwards, um, it's fairly straightforward to set up in with something like OBS. Um, and I've done it with another project, and at times it's worked quite well. And I think what you'd probably find is that you would get, because you've got such a huge number of subscribers, you'd probably do really, really well. I'm surprised more um, more channels um, don't exploit it, to be honest. Um, I mean, I think you only have to have a few thousand people watching, and you're at the top of the list. So I don't know. But then you have to think of content to do. I know. No, it isn't live. I was going to say AVGN does some live stuff, but I don't think he does. It can be a little tricky to set up, but it's not. It's not fiendish, you know. It's not fiendish. And the way I've got it set up here, um, I use a service called Restream.io, which they have a free um, service straight off the bat, and they've got some other things you can pay for, but I only use the free service, and it's streaming to YouTube and Twitch. Um, not that anybody's watching on Twitch, as far as I can see. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. Depressed you that you're filling out your channel and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah, definitely look into Restream.io. There's a guy called Louis Rossman who I was watching, and he mentioned that he was using that. And Louis Rossman's really good. And there's a lady, and I forget her name, uh, who's his pal, and she does it. And they just he. If you haven't seen Louis Rossman, definitely worth. He does tons of live streams, and he's got a repair shop in I think it's in New York, and he just sits in his shop and he says, right, let's have a look what's wrong with this Mac, and then he just sits there and he repairs it on camera, but then he'll say, oh, you know, he's just going on and on about how crap the Mac stuff is and how poor it is. And I used to work for Apple, and and a work from home arrangement, and it quite appealed to me, because you do seem to get a lot of people calling up saying, oh, my computer's broken, so I need to buy a new one. I've only bought it in the last couple of years, so it appealed to me. And then there's the lady whose name I cannot recall, who what does she do? She does iPads and stuff, so it's very similar. So yeah, Louis Rossman tends to do the MacBooks, and she tends to do the iPads and iPhones. But they do really, really good live streams, very relaxed, but they're always on camera, and they're using all different devices like microscopes and stuff to show the tracks and where things have gone wrong, and doing continuity tests, and they really know their stuff. The lady, I've got to find her name now, because it'd be wrong for me to just say the lady, because she's a really intelligent lady. I think she was like a genetic scientist or something, and then she what's her name? If I look up Louis Rossman, I'm sure I'll find her name. I can see Louis Rossman. If I do Louis Rossman lady, what's the iPad? Oh, there's somebody going mad outside my window. No, no, no. Oh, I feel bad now because I cannot. My mind's gone blank and I cannot think of that lady's name. She's really, really good. No, I see you're saying Larry won't buy any Apple products now. All the planned obsolescence bugs the hell out of him. Um, I think their hardware is very overpriced, and their whole business model depends on people buying the newest stuff, which is why they have it so that every new release is ridiculously overhyped, and why they don't even tell us that we're supposed to be selling the things, what is coming, until the day it's released, or that it's announced. Because us that were working for Apple were just like everybody else, watching the announcement to find out what we were about to be selling when the thing ends. I've the only Apple I've got is the one that I had to buy to work for them, which is a Mac Mini, and it seems a fairly well engineered machine, but I can't open it up and I can't do anything with it, so it will be obsolete soon. It's got 4 gigs. It's got a 500 gig mechanical drive. It should do a job for some time, but I don't know how long I'll be able to update it for. Not that I have updated it. I don't care about updating it to, whatever the new one's called, Craggy Peak, or do they name them after mountains or tigers now? I don't know. Mount Etna. Or I tell you what, the one thing that opened my eyes about Apple when I was working for them on a contractor basis, wage slave, was the Applepedia, their system that sits below. It's just full of shite, and they had a thing. What was it? Oh, that was it. Yeah, they had a thing on there. So we operated like out of a chat room sort of thing. I worked from home, and every now and then you had to read an article on Applepedia. They'd say before you do anything, you must read this article because it's got updated critical information. It's updated, and on Halloween, 2016, we had a message: you must read this. You must read this article. So I stopped what I was doing, switched off my phone, went and read this article, and it was like what to do in the event of a zombie attack, and then it's and what to do if Frankenstein attacks, and then all these ha ha ha, it's really hilarious. And then the last one was what's the guy from Rolling Stones, Keith from the Rolling Stones, basically said if Keith from the Rolling Stones attacks, this is what you should do. And I thought, blimey, that's a bit harsh. The bloke's not even dead, and it's a bit off colour. So I came back and went into the chat room and I said, yeah, it's very funny, but they missed out. What if Steve Jobs rises from the dead? That went down. No, they were trying to be funny, and they didn't like me bringing up Steve Jobs because that thing was monitored by the Apple staff, I guess. And I just think you shouldn't throw stones when you're in a glass house, really. But lots of things were strange about that arrangement. I'm surprised it didn't get more coverage in the press, but companies like that get away with things like that. And the job went. I mean, we did get a little bit of warning, but I'm pretty sure. I think it went to Japan, the phone jobs, and I think they got rid of everyone. There were 2 contractors, 2 Yeah, throw Rolling Stones. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was ridiculous. When I told people, I mean, even in the store, when I went to the store and I told them, I said, I'm working on. I don't work directly for Apple, but I'm working on the phones. And I said to them, these are the terms I'm working on. They were absolutely shocked. Absolutely shocked because they were getting like half price stuff in the store in the Watford um, Apple store. They were like, oh, well, we get all the products half price, and thinking, yeah, because they want you to wear the bloody things. They want, they want you to be familiar. They couldn't give a monkeys about us. I think we got 15% off, 10% off, or something, depending on what it was. Yeah, I don't like Apple. I don't like Apple at all. Which is a shame, really, because I think they're the only alternative. They rip tons of stuff off of the Amiga, I know that. Flipping heck, that OS X is a real rip-off of the Amiga. If Commodore had been smart enough, and even when Commodore was still around, had protected some of their copyrights. I mean, apparently they effectively had a patent on the two-button mouse, or using, I think the principle of using the right mouse button to call up a menu um, was one of their properties. I mean, although having said that, I can't think of another machine that did have one. Larry's saying he got an iPad Air 2 for his mum a few years ago, but I bought it as it was in the Black Friday sale. iPad Air 2, most of my brains are... I mean, I came in to working for those guys not really knowing much. I mean, my partner had iPhone and iPad, but I never used it. I think she's got an iPad, the second iPad that ever came out. I don't think she can update that anymore, but she still uses it. I mean, at the end of the day, well, that with Argos selling them off cheaper, that caused me a lot of problems, because if your job depends on you selling like 8% to your phone calls, and 50% of your phone calls are people that only want to get through to Apple Care anyway, and then somebody comes through and they say, oh, I'd like to buy, I think what was it, the Mini? I think the Mini 2, we had it for like 250 quid or something, and Argos had it for 169, effectively the same thing. I mean, you're absolutely snookered. Or when somebody calls up and they say, well, I'm looking at Amazon and they've got something that you're selling for £400 for £299, and it says it's supplied by you. And then all you can say to them is, well, if I were you, I'd buy them from Amazon, because I can't give a monkeys. I'm not bloody selling myself out. Tell them, oh no, buy it from me because it's better buying it from me over the phone. It's horseshit, so I don't know. I mean, all them people killing themselves at the factories and all that caper, it's not very good, really. Yeah, iPad 2 was the most popular version they ever did, apparently. Yeah, I don't really seem to see people with iPads anymore. I don't know if it's because everybody's sort of moving towards using their phones. I mean, the worst thing was that iPhone 7, my days, they had none of that stock. Even worse than that was the AirPods, those ear things, those headphone things. Oh, we'll definitely have stock by Christmas. And in the week of Christmas, it was like stores were getting 1 or 2 sets each day at best. Unbelievable. That just, to me, I always said this. Larry's saying either the phones or realised how limited tablets are and went back to laptops. Yeah, possibly. I mean, I don't know. A lot of tablets seem to be You can do a lot with a tablet these days, although I'm not sure if you'd want to edit a video with a tablet. Although you can get iMovie and that for them, but yeah, the supply thing with Apple I don't understand. I think their major problem was I think they couldn't get the stock into the country with the iPhone 7, and I don't think they've got the infrastructure they require to actually um, deliver on a lot of um, their products. It must be costing them money. I mean, I do get the feeling at some point Apple's gonna nosedive. I don't know when it will be, but I mean, I'm don't really use I've got a Kindle, which I think is a really good thing for the money.
The design's ready.
Back to a laptop, likes having things more open-ended and tinkering around with things. Yeah, I mean, the first pad I got, I used to call it my fake iPad, was a real piece of junk, to be fair. I can't think, I've got the box around here somewhere. I can't remember what it was called. I've got it in the other room actually. But it was the size and shape of an iPad. But it had but it was so underpowered. I just used it for watching YouTube, that's all I wanted it for. Yeah, saying that it's a Kindle Fire, you can mod them to Android. Yeah, I've got well, yeah, it is Android effectively. It's just reskinned. I've got whatchamacallit running on my Google Play. I stuck it on my mum's. It works, you know. It's the business, you know. It's a good pad. I'm very happy with my one. I've never had any problems with it. And it cost me 30 quid because I bought it on the Black Friday sale. I probably should have got the 16 gig one. I think that's I got the 8 gig one. I think you need 16 gig to install stuff and have it run comfortably. But I use it all the time for watching stuff on YouTube, and I even use the camera on it sometimes. Yeah, it's a good system. Although it must be getting massively subsidised by Amazon, I guess. Yeah, I like that. I like that Kindle. It's probably one of the best things I've bought. You can't do a huge amount with it, although you can play games as well. You can play games on it. Don't play many games. The game I like is Beach Buggy Racing and Beach Buggy. What am I saying? Beach Buggy? Beach Buggy something. Where is it? It's called Beach Buggy something. There's 2 games. Beach Buggy Racing, Beach Buggy Blitz, something like that. Yeah, I like those. Wondering if these guys are going to declare war on me anytime soon. I think I'm just going to try and... Did you have an Amiga back in the day then, Larry, or were you all PC'd? You had an A600. Fabled A600. Blimey. I always thought it was a nice machine to look at, the A600, but such a mistake with the expansion stuff. I mean, I mean, I think the Amiga was already dead by 1990, to be honest, in terms of its future. It was on borrowed time. But the great years for it in terms of software development, 90, 91, 92, and then just 93, 94, the sort of creeping death knell was coming on, when the how light the power supply was to it. Yeah, it was very light. It was very light, particularly the supply on the 1200, which I think was the same, because they put the 1200 out with a 2.5 amp supply, which was absolute rubbish, and that's part of the reason why my 1200 never ran properly. And in the first, I think the first 2 days I had my 1200, I discovered that there was a problem with the power connector on mine, and I've never seen this documented, this problem, but you could accidentally short it if you weren't careful, and I shorted mine, and it would send a load of current into the disk drive, and I suspect what happened is that the heads got locked or something, and the only way you could get the heads to unlock was to stick your finger in the actual power socket, which I guess, not the wall power socket, obviously, on the connector socket on the back of the 1200, and I guess that discharged the whatever it was, and it unlocked it. I did it a few times to my 1200, and I think it was a power supply problem rather than the socket, because I picked up, I got a 500, a big 500 supply at some point, and it never did it with that. I mean, the 1200 was a great machine, but it was just underpowered for what it was, and they made such a big mistake by only giving it. What did I do that for?
Hey, you wanna come on the my side, man?
Oh, you think you want Alliance now? Okay. Yeah, I think they made a mistake with the 1200 when they didn't do anything with the sound when they put it out. And at the very least, I think what they should have done, in my personal opinion, was double it up, put two sound chips in there. But the 600 was a very tidy little machine, just didn't serve any purpose. It didn't serve what was needed. We were probably getting games in similar circles, I think, Larry. Because I always used to wonder where the games came from, you know, when they were getting passed around. I mean, it's terrible, really. I mean, people's careers. Larry says, but I hope you'll see the audio for the 1200s. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about doing a video about the CD. But the 600 is really a 500 plus mini, yeah. So they could have left a socket on there. They could have left an upgrade path on there. I'm gonna go on the rampage here. Yeah, I mean, I like the 600, but it was a really bad mistake for Commodore to do it. Do you know what? I'm going to fight war on two fronts here. There's no point in me getting involved in this. Oh no, now we're fighting against it. Okay. Yeah, the CD audio on the 1200. I don't know. I think I'm thinking about doing a video on CDs, and the 1200, and just in Amiga in general. I think the biggest mistake they made was in getting CD-ROM. Oh dear, Larry broke his trying to saw a hole into the side so we get the Robocop 3 dongle into it. Okay, so maybe we didn't move in the same circles. I'm guessing that you weren't using many pirated games then, because could have I could have given you a copy of the Robocop 3 crack that was done pretty much on the day that I think it was out there before it even got into the shops. Um, the Robocop 3 I had. It was that famous dongle which nobody was ever going to be able to crack. It was the greatest dongle ever made, and very swiftly, I think it was Fairlight. It was probably Galahad. Very quickly managed to crack it, no problem whatsoever, and that was that. Somebody lost their job over that, I think. God, it's sad, really. The amount of damage that piracy did to that machine. Got it at the car boot sale for £2. Blimey. There were adapters that let you move it a little bit further out, as I recall. It was a great game, Robocop 3. I really liked it. I tried to play it again recently. I think I was thinking about doing a video on it. Do you know what, Larry? You've improved this, because this would have been just a sad Let's Play, but instead it's turned into it's turned into something worthwhile. But just and you know, the Let's Play is just incidental, really. So you know. Otherwise, I would have just been laying awake at night, just staring at the ceiling, wondering where my life has gone wrong. Well, and wondering where it's gone wrong over and over again. And you would have just been laying there in your vomit-encrusted sweat pile or whatever it is, with your illness, and yeah, we'll do that, Larry. We'll do it. We'll do that. We'll do a Skype chat. I think I can do that. I've tested this on my other channel a long time ago, and we can get this happening. We'll do a proper video. It'll be quality. Wow, my brain is really starting to seize up. But hang on, am I still in this game? Yes. Yeah, that'd be quality. I'd like that. I've got to go down to your neck of the woods soon as well. I say neck of the woods, it literally is neck of the woods. Because my accountant's around the corner from there, on there. I probably shouldn't go into the details about where my accountant is. It's probably unwise. It's probably an unwise thing to do. I could just waffle on for ages about any old shite. Right, I think I might as well. Yeah, I'll drop you a line at some point and we'll do that Skype chat stuff. We'll sort it out. And I'm sure we've crossed paths before at some point, and I think because when I first heard your voice on the videos, I thought, I know the voice, and I could almost put a face to it. I could almost put a face to it. And then I actually asked a friend of mine who I thought was our mutual connection, and that was before I knew you lived around the corner. And I asked a friend and he said never heard of the guy before. And I said, "Oh, I was sure you knew him." And he said no. And so fair enough. Determined to win this level. It's just turning into a slow brooding. Turning into a slow brooding attack. I don't think it was from your. I don't think it was from your TV days, because I don't think I ever saw you on those things. I think I only ever watched Bad Influence and what was the other one? Games Master. I might have seen you on Games. Were you on Games Master? I might have seen you on Games Master, or it might just be that I've seen you around, but I've got this terrible ability of never forgetting a face that I see anywhere ever. Even if I just walk past someone on the street, for some reason I seem to I seem to memorise people's faces, which is a bit strange, really. Oh, you're in the audience in one segment of. Well, it could be that, but then that wouldn't explain. It wouldn't explain the voice, but I am a rather strange character. So. This is this time.
The design's ready.
That's where I think I might have seen you in the Watford game shops. I used to hang around a lot more. I mean, CEX I used to go in occasionally. Maybe it was CEX. Maybe it was CEX. Yeah, maybe. If you were quite talkative in there, then maybe that's where it is. And Game I did used to go in years ago. I mean, Game's been gone for ages, hasn't it? Although Game still does exist, though, doesn't it? I think does it? I'm not sure, or doesn't it? I think we've got one in Nottingham. God, I'm still on the first level of this thing. Have I invented this thing yet? This must be the longest anybody's taken to do this first level of Megalomania.
We've advanced a tech level.
Oh, advanced a tech level. I'm determined not to lose it this time. I've got 20 blokes there. I'm going to amass an army here. Websites still exist, bought some games off them. So I'm pretty sure we've still got one in Nottingham in the Into Centre. I think you're still the only viewer, Larry. I don't think I've attracted a single other viewer. Now, what are the odds of how many channels are there where the only person watching a live stream has however many thousands? There used to be two in one. Oh, they did, didn't there? Used to be the one on the high street and the one in the Harlequin, is that right? My days, they're making a mess of Watford at the minute. It is so every time I go. You need to be playing PlayerUnknown's Battleground. I don't even know what that is. The best, I mean, the most I'd know about that is if it is what you've said about it. I think what you, yeah, I think if I see it flick up on yours, I might be. Apart from that, I wouldn't know. The outside one was a game station. God, I've got lots of guys in this one now. Let's move some of them over here. I think I'm heading towards a massive conflict here. I used to like before I had a decent computer. I used to like going into the W8 Smiths. I've got too many people in there to put any more in. I used to like going to the W8 Smiths. It was great, the one in Watford. Underground basement Chinese in Watford. Where was that? 3-course meal for £3.50. Underground basement Chinese. I have absolutely no recollection of that place. Underground basement Chinese. Three-course meal for £3.50. For me, I guess number one. Well, I'm not really a Chinese person, but well, I'm obviously not. Well, it's not obvious I'm a Chinese. I could be a Chinese person. Just I could be Chinese, but I'm not. But around the back of the reeds. Oh, I think I vaguely remember that. Vaguely remember that.
We've conquered the sector.
For me, how they lead into the car park with a spinny exit thing. Yeah, is that Gade car park? That one. Could be Gade. God, that's vague. See, I can't really remember that one. For me, the number one. Well, let me think. There was, what's it called, Mama Plopwells or whatever. Mama something or other is the normal Chinese we go for. Mama. Although at the minute the number one takeaway, I mean, I'm not really a takeaway person, but I go down to Burgerizza, just near the Arches. They got a good range of stuff in there. There's a Chinese just up the way from there as well. Definitely worth checking that out. And the W8 Smiths. The W8 Smiths that used to have the games was... I think that's gone now. That's in the new bit that's been developed in Yeah, it's been demolished now, I think, that one. I think. My day's just coming up to 5 a.m. It's the church car park. Well, I should have realised. Gate's probably been demolished now. Which one is Gade? Yeah, I think Gade's the one that's gone now. No, Gade has been kept. Is Gade gone or is Gade kept? Gade car park. Roslyn Road. Where is it? Of course it's called church because it's right next to the flipping church, isn't it? So where's Gade? Oh, Gade's the one which is just past the flyover. No, hang on. Hang on. Walkabout. Gade. Is it church? Yeah. Gade is the one with the where you go onto Roslyn Road, and it's got that weird bit that you shoot down the side of. Yeah, church car park's got the spinny exit thing. I knew somebody that came in through the exit. That's nuts. Yeah, Gade is the weird one that's got like a. You feel like you're in the professionals or something. Funnily enough, the professionals did have a few shots near there, but you feel it's got that kind of look. You feel like you're transporting into the 1970s. If you go down there, it's like got a weird bit that runs down the side of it. It's hard to describe, but if you run down it. Ah, you mean SRS? Is the camera shop. Which they don't do computers anymore, but they're still there. I went for a job interview there once, and they decided they didn't want me. But yeah, BT's was cool. Shame BT's went. A good shop. Yeah, SRS is like the central computer shop for ages. It was in Watford. I bought quite a lot of stuff off of them. You went for a job there too. Probably went for the same one. Yeah, unfortunately, I bought a. They didn't respond to your form. I got an interview because my mate is very in with them, and he said, "Oh, I'll give him an interview." And when I turned up, they realised that I was the person that about a year and a half before had gone there and bought a Celeron, like whatever the Celeron 3, whatever the Pentium 3 Celeron was. I bought that and a motherboard and 64 megs of RAM for a machine I was building. And when I got home, and a case, and when I got home, I had all the components ready to go in. And my mate was helping me put it together. We opened up the case, put the motherboard in front of us, and my mate takes the CPU in his hand, goes up to the socket, and then he looks at me, and I looked at him, and he looked at me, and he went, "There's already one in there." I went, "Is there?" And he said, "Yeah." And he went, "Oh, you complete and utter bleep. That's a full Pentium 3, that." And I said, "Is it?" I said, "Oh, that's handy." And then he went, "Oh, let's stick the memory in then, shall we?" Took the memory, went across, and he went, "I don't believe this." And there was already fully populated, like 320 megs of memory or something like that. So he went, "Oh, So I said, oh well, and I needed the memory. I mean, I was going to struggle with what I was doing at the time with what I had, so I'd intended to go back and say, oh, there's been a mistake, but I didn't go back and say there was a mistake because I had to go back to university and everything. There was no time. Anyway, when I went back there for an interview, they said, oh, you look familiar, and I was like, yep. And I said, yeah, I've been shopping here quite a while. And I think during the interview it clicked that he suddenly remembered, and they must have realised after I'd left the shop what that I that had happened, and yeah, so it probably cost me a job. So in the long run, it's they lost out really, didn't they, Larry? I mean, they still exist. Um, so but they could have had you and me, and then it would have been, who knows what could have happened. They're doing alright in there. They do a really good trade with cameras and they really look after people. One of the few last independent shops, I guess. And they've expanded as well, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I really needed the job as well. I really, really needed the job at the time. Um, I couldn't get arrested at the time. It was, I went on a run where I think I was interviewed for every single job in Watford. It's absolute. It was a nightmare. I remember getting turned down for a job at Watford. I found a stack of things. I messed him around in the past, telling me I had games in stock, told them to hold it for me. When I got there, they'd sold it. Yeah. Yeah, they like to sell stuff in there. I got the better of them a few times, to be
The
honest.
design's ready.
They had tons of Amiga stuff in there at one point, and they got rid of all the Amiga stuff and it was all PC, but I think they sold off their Amiga stuff ridiculously cheap. Refused to give you a full refund on a broken game as I didn't have those vouchers they gave me with it. Don't remember that. Vouchers. I remember I went in there once and I bought a null modem cable, or it might have just been a modem cable actually, for it was a ridiculous price, and when I got home it just didn't work, and then I ended up going back and swapping it for like Encarta or something like that, and then I swapped it again for like an Amiga PD collection. They gave you 10%. Oh, because you didn't have the vouchers, they wouldn't do the refund. Because you might have got 10% off a game. Yeah, that sounds about right. It was very glass in there. Yeah, I just remember now. I think it was really sad because I think one of the head guys died in a car crash there, and it was very sudden. And the other guys had to step up, and they did a really good job. Keeping the shop going, I guess. And one of the guys that was in charge there, his mum married the former headmaster of my school. Yeah, that's another story. I probably shouldn't go into that. Yeah, because I remember when I went to that interview, I asked how the headmaster was. Yeah, that's a bit of a murky story. I definitely shouldn't go into that. So we've got 3 games with them. They're all huddled behind that thin walkway. In the glass thing, yeah. Yeah, because there was a lot more space out the back as well. Now they've doubled it up. I think they got the shop next door, and they spread it all out. I've been in there for ages, and I don't really buy cameras. I probably should do, really, because most of my camera equipment is pretty hopeless these days. See, I've probably seen you in SRS as well then. I just think you're one of those faces that I've probably seen you around the town because we probably head into shops at the same time. And I don't expect you to recognise me because I'm one of these people that just blend into the background, you know. 10% is £4 or £40, so getting 2-3 games I could afford a second-hand game. Ah, I see what you mean. So they actually gave you a voucher to the value. Oh, well, I never bought a game in there. So they'd give you a voucher to the value rather than 10% off your next game. They gave you a voucher for £4. What a weird way to do it. You're effectively just taking margin off the top and hoping that they don't use the voucher. I think Chris is the guy. Yeah. I used to go in and look at stuff. To be honest, I had a few mates that were more interested in buying stuff. I used to go to the shows to buy stuff. I usually go with my dad and we'd plan what we were going to get, what I wanted to do, what we wanted to do. So like the first Amiga show I went to, I wanted a hand scanner. Yeah, blimey, yeah. Yeah, I used to go to all the Amiga shows I could, and I'm pretty sure I went to 2 in the first year. Because the first one I went to, Jimmy White was there, the snooker player, and Archie McLean was with him promoting the Jimmy White's Whirlwind Snooker, and oh, interesting. You're into import games either there or a stall at Wembley Market. Well, I'll tell you what. I know a guy who. Now I do have to be careful about this. I know a guy who was working on the Sunday market when they still had the Sunday trading controls in, and he was well, on a Sunday he was Jewish, so he could go and he could work down there. But they were making tons of money. I mean, I don't know on the gaming stuff, but on the suits and everything, they were making an absolute fortune. It's incredible. Well, I never even thought about going down to Wembley Market or things like that. I mean, I used to just get, because I was never into cartridge systems. They were always, I just couldn't see the point. It was too expensive. Although the games were often a lot better. I think probably, I mean, in the end I was using my Amiga for productivity stuff more, and the cover discs were giving so much great productivity stuff as well. I don't think I'd ever been to Wembley Market. I mean, that's a place that's changing quickly now, and the studios have gone now as well. I think we've got a hard battle on there, is it? So I guess you were trying to get all the the Japanese stuff, and what about Calamity Comics? Did you ever go down there on Market Street? Was it Market Street? I used to hang about in there with my mate Tom, who was really into the comics, but used to go to the Harrow branch. I didn't even know they had a Harrow branch. I think I've still got some books that they gave away on their opening on the opening day in Watford. I've got one of the first. I had it. It might be chucked now. I did have one of the first animes that ever got imported into the UK, as far as I'm aware, because I know the bloke who imported it, and it was called Techno Police. And I think the guy that did the music for that went on to be one of the. Oh, the Harrow one was their main store. Okay, I didn't know that. I'd missed that. Yeah, I got. Yeah, it was on Market Street, and Market Street has a. I worked in Market Street in the parking shop down there. It's one of the bleakest offices I've ever worked in. It's horrible. And they also down there, it's got. Well, they had R&R, a skateboard shop that moved up and down that street and onto Queen Street. But an acquaintance of mine owned. And there's also a very well established house of ill repute there, which somehow continually avoids any control, any police intervention. I don't know how. And yeah, it is picking up a little bit. I walked down there the other day for the first time in ages, and it seems to be quite lively down there. We were always in there because my mate. I mean, I didn't understand. He just looked for Spider-Man comic books, and we just looking for particular ones. I used to find it weird that you had to sit there and look for hours for, why don't you just buy them all in order? I didn't realise that. I guess there's old stories that he was following. I used to end up picking up all kinds of stuff, comic books, and they all got chucked. God, it's terrible. It's terrible. Yeah, I had this anime called. I mean, I used to. I didn't really. Because I knew about Akira because they used to go on about it in Amiga format, and they had adverts for it all the time. But I had this one, Techno Police, when I was about 4, which goes on forever, and I think it was originally planned to be a TV series that just the production ran on and on, and in the end they just said cut the pilot into a film, and they did, and it's part of it's sort of shot in monochrome, shades of red and stuff. But it's quite interesting, and the soundtrack's really good. No, it's not. It's not all charity shops. It's on Market Street. They've got there's like a few Polish shops and stuff, and there's let's think now. I've just been down there. There's a few butchers and stuff. Like ethnic butchers, be it Polish or Turkish or something like that. There's a bathroom merchants down there. There's a few different things down there. It's not too bad. Fake KFC restaurants, yeah. There's Southern Fried Chicken, that kind of stuff. I ended up going on Google Maps now to remind myself. Oh, and there's quite a nice Never Saw Techno Police. That must be really early. Yeah, it is. I think it's 82 or 80, probably 82, and I know the guy that imported, I think, nearly all the copies of it that were there that came in, and it was before classification. I know that because it's unclassified, and this guy was importing a lot of stuff, all kinds of stuff, and he was getting a load of animation stuff, because I think he had one of the first sets of the what do we call it? Public domain. The stuff that's you can get everywhere now on public domain. The stuff that's fallen out of copyright, the Warner Brothers stuff and the Popeye stuff. That's all. It was one of the first compilations of that stuff, and I have never seen it listed anywhere this way. It was called something like Bumper Cartoon Collection Volume 2. It had a really nice cover, and and it was great. It was about 3 or 4 hours, with a load of stuff that you won't find, well, you wouldn't find anywhere else at the time. Stuff that probably hadn't been watched that hadn't been on TV or anything for years. It didn't look too bad, and yeah, they had that, and yeah, had all kinds of stuff, Dirty Pair in Calamity. What's Dirty Pair? Is that a title, or is that Dirty Pair? I don't really want to Google that, but I can always have a look. Right, I'm googling Dirty Pair now. I'm going to put comic after it. Oh, it is a comic. Yeah, there we go. Biohazards. Run from the hello. Some rather well endowed drawings, if that's possible. Studio Proteus. I see. Run from the future. Yeah, I wish it's something I could have appreciated at the time. Anime, scantily clad anime girl cops. That's pretty much par for the course. It just reminded me, the thing about Techno Police. One of the things, I even noticed this when I was 4 years old watching it. This is, my brain is really seizing up. The dubbing on it. I mean, it's typical ropey dubbing. I mean, it's not too bad, but the lead character, his voice. What's the guy's name? He was an English actor who's from Brighton. I can't even do the impression of the guy's voice. The dubbing actor basically did the voice of this English actor who's massive. He was in Hitchcock films. Oh, what's his name? Cary Grant. Cary Grant. His voice for the lead character on Techno Police is more or less a Cary Grant impression. It's quite funny. It is quite funny. I mean, it's a very, very boring one, but I think it's on YouTube actually. I think somebody's put it up on there. And at the end, I've just remembered at the end, it's got a trailer for another. It's got a really long trailer for another anime, another early anime, and that looked really cool. But I remember it was a bit eerie watching it when you watch this thing that just went on forever and was really quite slow. It's got some nice character designs, but that's about as much as I knew about anime. Really, I remember just saying to my mates, when this anime was like becoming the big thing, with my artsy mates, and I was like, oh yeah, I think I've got an anime thing. It's called Techno Police. And then I showed it, and they were like, this is rubbish. This is not like, because they were used to stuff like Akira with guys zooming around on motorbikes and all the rest of it. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, I never. See, this is the thing with me. I think I'm a bit out of step with my generation, because the first films that I can remember watching and paying attention to were Danny Kaye films. I quite like Danny Kaye, and then like Laurel and Hardy's, and then Star Wars. Um, and as I got older, my tastes went further and further backwards. And I like Laurel and Hardy, um, Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton. There's very few films going for, and I really find it really hard to appreciate um, the anime stuff. And the newer it gets, the more difficult. My sister really loves, all the a lot of the Japanese animation, the Whatchamagob's Moving Castle and all that stuff. I can't get it. I can't get it. But whereas, like stuff like Cuphead, I mean, I'm not really interested in playing the game, but I think the animation, what they've done with that is absolutely staggering. To completely, completely take the animation, um, that style. Ghibli. Ghibli. Who's Ghibli? You've lost me there. Ghibli. Is it Ghibli's Moving Castle? Ghibli's animation? um, yeah, I think Cuphead is an incredible achievement in terms of animation. From what I've seen of it, it is absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot. But the most recent animation, which isn't really recent because it ceased production 25 years ago, that I um, appreciate is The Thief and the Cobbler, which if you haven't ever seen, it's worth looking up. Uh, uh, it's an animation which started production in the early 60s as a completely different production and then eventually changed into The Thief and the Cobbler, directed by Richard Wilson. The company that animated Howl's Moving Castle was Ghibli. Okay, brilliant. Okay, that's a name I need to familiarise myself with. Yeah, the Thief and the Cobbler. Richard Williams. It was his who did Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I might be telling you about something you know about here, so stop me if I am. It was his masterwork that he worked on for years and was funding it with money he got from working on advertisements, stuff like that. And eventually, when he did the Roger Rabbit film, he got the funding to complete the rest of it. But he ran over budget, never did it. It got taken over by a Bond completion company, and a horrible version got put out. You've seen The Thief? Yeah, it's on YouTube. Yes, they did. Yeah, with Eric, what's his face? That guy that's on the version that's on YouTube is produced by a guy called Garrett Gilson. No, Garrett. Garrett something Garrett, who actually loaned. I didn't assist him in it at all. No, I did nothing to do with that whatsoever. But I was in contact with him. And he really dedicated. He went down and tracked down the original elements, which would probably have otherwise have been lost, to help build that. And I said to him, because he was doing so much work, at one point I said to him, look mate, you want to be doing this in HD or in as high a resolution as you can, because this is potentially part of a proper preservation. And he did actually, but and they've done a fantastic job with what they did, and his work has really, I think, pushed Richard Williams to try and do a proper preservation. And I know they've archived the work print now, but that is an incredible animation. The work they did on that is absolutely staggering. Everything on ones, real incredible things, mostly without computer aided, well, all without computer aided stuff. There's a few rotoscope scenes late in production, but that's the best I've ever seen. I wish I could appreciate the Japanese stuff. I never really sat down to watch it properly. Some of the French stuff I find interesting. I've got quite a lot of the French stuff has a strange mechanical sense to it. I watched the thing on a French channel a while ago as well. It was a real strange claymation thing. The guy with the farm, and he walks with his Todger out. And yeah, my brain's starting to seize up now, so I think I'm going to have to bring this. I think I'm going to have to bring this stream to an end because I will literally run an autopilot and just talk absolute rubbish from here to eternity. But it's been great fun with our very welcome guest, Larry Bunty Jr., Guru Larry. A great YouTuber that produces tons of great content for everyone to enjoy. Bellevue Run. Right, I've got one to check out. I'm going to do that, mate. If I ever wake up tomorrow today, I'm going to check out Bellevue. Yeah, man, we'll do it. We'll do that. We'll have a chat. Do you want to have a chat on Skype in a stream, or do you want to just have a chat on Skype? You know, it's up to you. Whatever you want to do, we'll have that chat. We can do it on the stream. We can do whatever you want, man. Oh, the brain is seizing. I'll just be here sitting on the internet, you know. Probably playing Megalomania. That music's driving me mad. Cool, man. We'll do it on the stream or something like that, or otherwise, and we'll find a topic. It might just be reminiscing about Watford and Northwood and the surrounding areas. It might just have a ramble. We'll do whatever, and we'll get it going. Oh, my brain is really seizing up. Well, I would say ladies and gentlemen, but I should probably just say, well, gentlemen, gentleman, and to anyone that's following this up afterwards, thank you for sticking with this stream. If you got this far, there's a subscribe button on there somewhere, and there's, you know, like, dislike, blah blah blah. Oh, there's some great Facebook groups for that. Oh, for Watford and all the rest of it, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, take care, Larry. Take care, anybody that happens to watch this for 2 hours and 17 minutes to get to the end of the stream. It's been an absolute pleasure. Didn't get very far into Megalomania, but that's not what it's about, is it? It's not about that. It's just about playing stuff. I'll catch you all soon. See you later, Larry. Take care. Good night. And how do I switch this off? Let's see. I always talk more Watford when I think I'm talking to people that are from Watford. It's been pointed out. I start getting all like that. Night, Larry. Night, everybody. Take care. This is Amiga Rob.